I'm going to go through this as fast as I possibly can and show you some stuff that can use you that you can use to find better trades. All right, and then you should see a screen that says warning. Dear Lord, warning. I am a Series 3 and a Series 30, which is nothing really. Some people think it's something, but it's really not. A Series 3 and a Series 30. Ooh, means I took a test, and I am now registered with the NFA and the CFTC, which basically means if I say the wrong thing, they can find me, stuff like that. So I got to be careful with what I say. The reason I am registered is because I do a lot of trading, and I want the cheapest possible commissions clearing I could get. So I own a seat on the exchange, and then I also own my own futures IB, which just means instead of me clearing through a broker, I self-clear a lot of my stuff, which means like when you go, if you trade futures or options or stocks, you have a baseline that you have to pay. So like futures, let's say it's $5 a round turn. I can charge myself $1 a round turn, or God forbid, 5 cents a round turn if I want to. And then also the seat in the exchange actually lowers my commissions a lot more. So I'm not a broker. I'm not here to sell you any brokerage services at all. I just self-clear. So that's the reason I'm registered. I have to be super, super active and tell you that you should never trade with any money that you cannot afford to lose. Only trade with discretionary income. Do not, if this is your last $5,000 and you're trying to make your mortgage payment, for the love of God, do something else, right? So only discretionary income. I'm going to walk through some technical analysis stuff that I like to use. I'm not a huge fan of fundamental analysis, although sometimes it's neat to look at, but I don't think it's that good most of the time because it just depends on what we're all willing to buy and sell things at. So I like to go a little bit above board and say that your trading career is hazardous to your health and wealth and may end up like a bad country song, okay? It may end up like a bad country song, like your wife's going to leave you, probably for your best friend. We're talking a country song here, right? Your dog just dies because there's no cats in country songs. Your kids hate you. They're going to repossess your either Ford or Chevy pickup, right? And they're going to foreclose on either your single wide or your double wide trailer. And I can say that because I am a redneck from East Kentucky. So if you understand the risk that inherent with trading, and you understand that you should never trade with more money than you can afford to lose, just give me a yes. That way it covers me. And then if the NFA or the CFTC come in here and audit this, and it's like, well, he tried to tell them, right? And that way I will end up in an orange jumpsuit bunking with Bubba in the federal penitentiary somewhere. All right, cool. So we're good. All right, now let's get started. So my name is Hubert Centers. I'm kind of known in the industry as, the no BS guy, my no BS approach to trading and investing. So I've already told you that probably you're not going to make any money, probably going to lose all your money trying to figure out how to do this, right? And you're sitting there going, that's great. We're all in this webinar trying to learn how to make money, and you're telling us we're all going to lose money. It's just there's not a whole lot of us that are good at it. It takes a lot of time. I would say on average it takes you anywhere from 3 to 8 years to get good at this stuff. And it depends on how serious you are. Now, I will tell you, I grew up poor in Eastern Kentucky. Now, poor is kind of a weird term. My mom and dad were factory workers. They worked really hard. I didn't need for anything, right? But we weren't rich. So Eastern Kentucky, probably one of the more royal places in the world, in the coal mines, stuff like that. So I didn't have a ton of role models. So what I had to do is I had to go out in the world and find other role models, which in turn means that I join masterminds and I help other people build their businesses, or I give them value and then they give me advice. In this picture here, this is Paula Abdul, and she's actually about 6 inches shorter than this. At this mastermind, we were in Phoenix, and she had 6-inch heels on when I was taking that picture with her. This is Sir Richard Branson. I don't know what you have to do to be called a sir, but he's a cool guy to hang out with. I help him with his charitable foundation. He's got longer hair than I do, but I've got more chins than him, which means I will probably die of a heart attack before he dies. And then we both have dyslexia, which I thought was an interesting conversational piece when we were talking about that together. And then this is Mr. Wonderful. This guy is actually a little evil, so we're going to mark him up here. If you ever have to sit down and have dinner with him, he's going to bore you to tears about very expensive wine and talking about the difference between blah, blah, blah and blah, blah, blah. That's all I heard at dinner. It was just blah, blah, blah. And then this is Dave Ramsey. Dave and our companies do business together. This was at his Christmas party, and Dave's a good guy. Now, this is me. I'm the guy with the big square catfish head here. I don't remember why I had to put this crazy little suit on. I never ever wear these things because I think they're uncomfortable. Right now, I'm in a pair of jeans, a pair of tennis shoes, and a T-shirt. It's just easier to trade that way. And these right here are six 24-inch LCDs that I usually trade in front of every day. I've got more than that around here, which I know there's going to be some kind of study that it's either going to cause brain cancer or testicular cancer, and I'm going to die that way. I've just figured out that's what it's because I'm surrounded by them, right? It's going to be something like that because right now there's probably 20 screens surrounding me, and there's going to be some kind of study that comes out like that, and I'm going to be host. So when I grew up in Eastern Kentucky, anybody watch a lot of Scooby-Doo or Ghost of Mr. Chicken? Anybody watch those shows? I'm kind of dating myself. I think I'm like 43, something like that. I've been trading for like 25 years. So when I grew up poor, I was like, man, if I ever make enough money, I'm going to have, I'm going to build a big house and I'm going to have these secret little passageways and hidden door cases and stuff. And actually in the house that I'm in right now, we designed and built it. And in order to come into my office, there's this bookshelf, okay? And you hit this button or you pull this book, and then it opens up into a 1,500 square foot office that is in my home. So I actually own about 8 different businesses, but I run them all from my home office because I don't like the corporate environment. So there's 3 really good ways to make money in the United States, in my opinion, and in the world: trading and investing, real estate, and business. Those are the 3 main pillars. If you want to make a lot of money and build up wealth and cash flow, those are the ways to do it. Today, we're going to talk about trading and investing. But like I said, I trade from home, but I have a little 1,500 square foot office in my home. And here's my team. You can probably hear them in the background messing around talking to people. All right. So let's get started here. Fundamentals. Now, real quick, what do you trade the most of? There currently right now are, over 600 people, almost 700 people in here. So whatever you do, don't log out because the number is going to fluctuate. What do you trade the most of? Do you trade most stocks, options, futures, or forex? Like what's the most thing that you trade? Like most of us trade everything, right? But if I had to hold a gun to your head and said you can only trade one thing, what's it going to be? Stocks, options, futures, or forex? All right, so lots of options guys here. I would hope so, since most people here are options guys, right? That promoted this. All right, so now what's your time frame? Are you an investor, a swing trader, or a day trader? And there's different definitions for a swing and a position trader. So a day trader means you're flat at the end of the day. A swing trader means you're holding it more than 24 hours, but not more than like 3 months, right? All right, so we got a good mix. So it looks like the majority of people in this webinar, if you're interested, are swing options traders, which is interesting. All right. So now, there's 2 different ways you can make money, right? There's fundamentals and there's technicals. Which way are you slanted right now? Are you more of a fundamental person or are you more of a technical person? Just let me know that. So tech, combine, tech. So more tech than anything. Well, there's a fundamental. Oh, there's another fundamental. All right, cool. All right, so let's go through some of the positives and negatives of fundamentals versus technicals. All right. Fundamentals, methods used to analyze stocks only. Usually fundamentals are, right? You don't usually use fundamentals for commodities too much, okay, unless you're just doing supply side or demand side stuff, but sometimes that stuff's a little weird. Fundamental analysis involves the analyzing the characteristics of a company in order to estimate its value, like earnings per share, PE, and dividends, all right? And cash flow. You got to calculate that too, right? So more fundamentals. So you got to know what business model your business is in. Let's say Amazon, because Amazon's gapped up huge today. You got to know the competitive advantage that the company has. You got to know the management. You got to know the trends. And that's just a few of the things that you have to know, right? So ways to track management. There are conference call. Anybody ever been on a earnings or a conference call of these big companies? They will bore you to tears, and they talk in gibberish. It's like, and it's almost like they're politicians sometimes. So if you've never experienced one of them, try them. You'll want to go watch grass grow or paint dry. Quarterly conference calls, you can do management discussions and analysis, annual reports. These are even worse to read. Ownership and insider sales. These are a little weird because ownership and insider sales, sometimes they'll dump everything just to, buy a new house in Connecticut or something like that. Or maybe they got a kid that's going to school and they just want to dump it for that. Maybe they know something and they're dumping it because they know something, right? Past performance of the actual thing that you're trading is pretty important. Corporate governance. Is there such a creature? Corporate governance. I think the corporate governance is that's just a joke, right? Financial information and transparency. Do you believe that companies tell you the truth about their financials? I just don't. I think what they do is they fight for everything they can get from quarter to quarter, and they try to make their books look as pretty as possible. So what was the company that came out? Groupon. When Groupon came out, they didn't even use the same accounting structure that everybody else used. They're like, well, we've got the new accounting model. That I'm like, well, how does that work? 1 + 1 is 2. How in the love of God is 1 + 1 9? Well, because we were looking forward, and that stuff freaks me out, right? Yeah, Enron had great earnings, right? So you got to be careful with some of that stuff because those guys just. I'm not saying you can't trust them. I'm just saying if their mouths are moving, they're probably lying, right? Financial information transparency. Now, there are a few good companies out there, and I would say most companies are decent. But there's just history will repeat itself. There will be more crooks in Wall Street. Okay? So, by the numbers, you can take a look at market share, industry growth, competition, regulation. What is that? Regulation. Those are just some of the things that you can look at when you're looking at fundamental analysis. Now, more by the numbers. The balance sheet, they're going to lie. The income statements, probably more lies. Statement of cash flows, okay. And then you have to know how to read all three of those. Now, if you're in business, they're not that hard to read. It's just do you or do you not trust the source is the really issue, right? Because anybody can put something on a balance sheet. You can fudge numbers and stuff in companies. It's done, right? Now let's talk about technical analysis. Now, technical analysis, you have to believe that, number one, most stuff is kind of built into the price, right? And you have to be of the belief that price is king. It doesn't care one bit about the value of the company or the commodity. So if Amazon is trading at $800 today, and if Google's is trading at $4 today, we don't really care what the value is. What we're really worried about is, hey, what is somebody willing to buy or sell this particular thing at, right? Like Google could be the greatest company on the planet, but if it's trading at $4, it's trading at $4, right? Technicians are only interested in the price movements of the market. We don't really care why it's doing what it's doing. We just want to focus on either predicting a future price increase or a future price decrease. So technical analysis, it really just studies the supply and demand in the market in the attempt to determine what direction or trend will continue in the future. That's all we're doing. So we're like really high-paid weathermen is all we are, really, when you think about it. We're kind of like an actuary because we have to do odds on some stuff, and then we have to predict what's going to happen, and then we have to gamble a little bit, right? That's what trading is. We're placing our bet that it's going higher or lower. So we are speculators in nature if we are technicians. The technical aspect with it will give us an edge, and there's all kinds of technical analysis studies that you can use. In other words, technical analysis attempts to understand the emotions in the markets by studying the market itself as opposed to its components. If you understand the benefits and limitations of technical analysis, it can give you a new set of tools or skills that will enable you to be a better trader or investor. All right, so let's see. What does technical analysis work on? It works on more stuff, not just stocks. So it's going to work on stocks, options, forex, bonds, tons of commodities, pretty much anything out there. I mean, you can slap a technical analysis study on a business, right? And you can say, hey, our cash flow is rising, our cash flow is going down. You can do it on real estate market. So you can do it on pretty much anything out there. So it's really, really helpful. So some beliefs that you will need. The market discounts everything, and everything is built into the price action. Okay? The market is very efficient at figuring out the value of said thing that you are trading. Price moves in trends. It's either going to go up, down, or sideways. That's about it. You got three options. You just got to figure out what option. What I would do is I would focus on either the up or the down and avoid the sidewaysness. Very easy to do if you just use an ADX reading. If the ADX is above 20, your thing is trending. It's either going up or down. If the ADX is below 20, your thing is non-trending and it's not worth your time. History tends to repeat itself. We humans have short memories. I could have swore it felt like just yesterday that we were in a dot-com bubble, right? I'll be daggone if we're not back in one again. I actually do some Silicon Valley investing, so I'm in stuff that you can't even get in right now because I've got a buddy that runs some funds in Silicon Valley. So I'm in stuff like, Slack. It's companies that will eventually be like Twitter and Facebook, and I'm in a lot of that stuff out there, right? But right now, like Uber's worth $40 billion. That's actually one of the Silicon Valley companies that actually makes sense. Pinterest, I don't even know what it's valued at, or Snapchat, an application where kids take a picture, chat with themselves, and send pictures back and forth. Amazing. It's worth $1 billion, right? So it's crazy. Like, you definitely have a Silicon Valley bubble, and you may have a stock market bubble right now too. Okie doke. So which one wins? Technical analysis wins in my mind, but there's nothing wrong with trading there's nothing wrong with technically trading fundamentally sound companies. So if you're like, man, I don't like technical analysis, it just freaks me out. Okay, well, just trade good old-fashioned companies that pay dividends, but technically trade them, all right? You're at least going to have both the tools. You'll be playing with two guns instead of one. For me, I'll just do technical analysis. I don't care about the fundamental analysis. For me, I'll trade toothpicks or Tic Tacs. If there was a market in it and I thought I could make money in it, I would trade that market. So technicals are definitely stronger in my mind, but if you trade fundamentally, that's fine. Just trade fundamentally strong companies with technicals. All right, let's walk through some of the things that you're going to need to know. Now, I'm going to give you some of the stuff that I've been trading for 25 plus years. These are some of the things that I look at, and I'm going to condense down to you and say these are the ones that I found that add to my decision as opposed to confuse it and make my decision harder. So when you start looking at charts, there's line charts, there's bar charts, there's candlestick charts, there's point and figure, okay? Most, I would say, if not all of us, use candlestick charts in here. There's probably not a ton of us that use line charts or bar charts, and a few of you may use, 2 or 3 of you may use point and figure. This is actually a really cool technical analysis strategy that you should look at. It's a little bit longer term in nature, and it's comprised of like X's and O's, but it tells you, X's and O's, it'll tell you overall where real-time support and resistance is. It's a really good technical analysis study, and it's withstood the test of time. So those are the chart types. So here in this line chart, these are all just pre-made PowerPoints. What I'm going to do at the very end of my talk, I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. We're going to go through a lot of live charts, and I'll go through some markets using like Ichimoku and show you like, hey, here's the state of the market. So I'll get through this as quick as I can, and then the rest of the time I'll spend on live charts. So this is a line chart. You can see obviously this is a decent rising trend when I took this photo back in 2013. Right? So that's a valid uptrend, and it looks nice and strong. If you look at bar charts, it gives you a little bit more information because now you have a high, a low, and a close. You have a high, low, and a close, and an open, right? High, low, open, close. And then if you look at a candlestick, it gives you even more information. So here you can see, there's a bottoming formation. Here's sideways formations. Here's another bottoming formation. Here's a topping formation. Here's a topping formation. Here's a bottoming formation. So candlesticks are just going to give you a little bit more information to let you know what the psychology of the market is. So if you're not looking at candlesticks, do so. It's going to help you out. This is a chart of point and figure, and it's one of the studies that I use to draw perfect 45-degree angle trend lines. Because a lot of people, when they draw trend lines, will lie to themselves. They'll go like this right here. They'll be like, well, the trend line was right here. And then as soon as it breaks it, they're like, well, no, really, the trend line's right here. No, it was right here. It's broken, and now this is overhead resistance. So the cool thing about point and figure is if you use it correctly, it's one of the very few tools that will. Now, I got a shaky hand, so I'm not going to be perfect. But it would be perfect 45-degree trend lines or perfect 45-degree trend lines, right? So it's really, really useful in that aspect for support and resistance in trend lines. So when you're doing technical analysis, the first thing you want to do is pick your trend identification tool. There are tons of them up there. You first want to know if the market is going up, down, or sideways. There are several different ways that you can do it. These are some of the ones that have helped me in the past. And number one, you could just look at the chart. In this example, you can see this is going up. That's simple. This is going down. That's super simple. This is going sideways, right? So now there's one way that sideways markets can be traded, and it's like a channeling strategy where you'll go like this and you'll say, okay, here's the overhead resistance. Here's the bottom support. Now, support and resistance is not a pinpoint accurate study. So this is an area of interest. This is an area of interest, area of interest, area of interest, area of interest, area of interest. And so when you're using support and resistance, I'm going to stand up here. I got one of those cool little desks I can touch a button and stand up. So I've been setting, oh, that feels much easier on the legs. And I should say the hips. There we go. So when you're using support and resistance or trend lines, they are an area of interest. It's not going to be like, okay, this is the exact point where resistance should be shorted. No, it's an area, okay? So support and resistance is usable, and I do like it, and I also like trend lines. Trend length, after you figure out what trend tool you're going to use to tell you whether it's going up, down, or sideways, what you have to do is you then have to figure out what's your time frame. How long are you going to be in these things? Is it going to be long term, medium term, short term, or micro intraday term? So when we're looking at this chart of the Dow, you can see this is the longer term uptrend. The medium term trend was down, and then the minor short term was also down. So it's a major uptrend, minor downtrend, and intermediate downtrend. So you have to know, like, all right, what am I doing here? How am I trying to skin this cat? And there's several different ways I can do it. For me, I'm more of a trend trader, and I like to buy pullbacks and breakouts in order to get in trades, all right? And I'm less of a counter trend trader in that aspect. All right, trend tools. There are trend lines, there are moving averages, there are channels, and there is Ichimoku cloud charts. There are trend lines, moving averages, channels. Just go see what she's called me. Trend lines, moving averages, channels, and Ichimoku charts. So trend lines are very useful. Moving averages can be useful. Just don't use 25 of those. All right. So you don't want to have your chart to look like this right here, and you're like, oh my God, look at all the trend lines. And then channels are pretty good. I'm a huge fan of Ichimoku. I like that a lot. It makes my life simpler. So on Ichimoku cloud charts, I use that for my trend tool, and we'll go through that. I also use ADX to let me know if something's trending or non-trending. So we'll spend a little bit of time on Ichimoku at the end. So in this example, we've got Heikin-Ashi, and you can see this tells you, like, if this is blue, this is a valid uptrend, and it rotates from red back to blue, and you can get long here, valid uptrend, red back to blue right here, valid uptrend. So that's Heikin-Ashi. Here's trend lines. You can see we've used this slide a lot. There's a valid uptrend. Then once the uptrend was broken here, then we want to start getting short, and you can see now this is going to be overhead resistance right here in that area. Moving averages, very popular. Tons of people use them. These are some of the more popular ones: 20, 50, 200. Some folks will use a 40, and some folks will use 100. I wouldn't use more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More than 5 moving averages on a chart is going to get a little tricky. And then at some point, the price action is going to hit every one of them, and then at that point, what's the point, right? All right, we've already covered trend lines. We covered support and resistance. We talked about it being an area of interest for buys and sells. Actually, back in the 90s, there used to be a company, I don't know if they're still in business, called channelingstocks.com. It's an interesting service. There is a good way to trade stocks that go sideways. You're better off usually trading the ones that are in massive uptrends or massive downtrends, though. Volume. I use volume quite a bit in my analysis. So in this example, you can see this is a daily chart of gold. Nice little huge sell-off. Notice what you see right here, and you'll start looking for volume patterns. Now, this looks a little weird, right? We call this a volume spike, and what it looks like, it's a little graphic, so just, it looks like when you do this, it looks almost like you're being flipped off, right? Like you just caught somebody off in traffic and somebody just flipped you the bird there. When you see this symbol like this right here, and it's actually called a fractal, but I'm very visual, so the way I remember it is like, uh-oh, just cut somebody off in traffic, my bad. When you see that pattern there, that's a good indication that all the selling is now done, and it should jump out of there. Same thing for the high side, okay? Same exact thing for the high side. And then I'll develop up some indicators that'll have my own little special blends of herbs and seasoning, right? Your own special proprietary stuff. So I'll be saying like, all right, good sellers here, good sellers here, boom, now the buyers jump back in here. And so like not all volume is useful, like for me here, like these gray bars, that means no advantage. A green bar means bullish, a red bar means bearish, a yellow bar means low volume, and a purple bar for me means, hey, there's something weird going on there. There's just something odd, weird. The calculation that we do here did not come out the way it should have. There's something, we're saying it should go higher or lower, and it did the reverse. So for me, I want to know bullish volume, bearish volume, low volume, or sketchy. There's something just not right there. Chart pattern, support and resistance, head and shoulders, double tops and bottoms, triple tops and bottoms, triangles, and gaps. So those are some of the ones over the past 25 years that repeat pretty routine. Do they all work? No, that's what the stop losses are for. So let's go through some of these. So here's just good old-fashioned support and resistance, and you just need to get really good at finding support and resistance on whatever you are trading. Okay, here's a shot of a head and shoulders. So head and shoulders looks like this. So you've got the left shoulder here, you've got the right shoulder here, I'm sorry, this is the head, left shoulder, and then here's the right shoulder, and then here's the neckline. So if this thing gets broken, if we cut through its neck, it sells off, comes back up, test resistance. So you can either short it at 0.1 or at 0.2 here, and then you can see it fell apart. You can also do an inverted head and shoulders. They work pretty well too. Here is a triple bottom. All right, so triple bottom would be, hey, here was our first support, second support, there is your third support, okay? Now notice, it's not to the tick, right? It's that area that we talked about. You can also do stuff like a long-legged W where you go down, up, down. We call that a long-legged W or a short-legged W, depending on which leg you're looking at. Now, double bottoms and double tops. So this is one of the better platforms or better patterns. You can beat on a low or a high. So you've got your first high here, and then you got your second high here. Now notice that the first high was breached by some amount of ticks, all right, on Facebook here, and it went a little bit higher. The ones that don't work very well in my back testing is where they go doom, doom. A perfect touch, just for whatever reason, ends up being more sideways than this. These work a little bit better. Touch, down, touch, a little bit higher, and then it'll fail and just get hurt pretty bad. So when you're looking at double bottoms and double tops, make sure that one of them is higher or lower than the other. What it does is it just confuses people and then leaves a lot of people just hanging. Okay, so don't look for perfect patterns. Perfect patterns, everyone sees them and everyone trades them. You want the ones where these guys were short right here, they blew up through that, the weak hands got shook out, and then boom, you had a nice little capitulation, and it started to sell off pretty good for you. Wedges and triangles are very, very effective. So here you can see you got a nice little downtrend, and then you got this nice little wedge here, and then once the wedge gets broken, you can see it falls apart again. Those are pretty good to trade too. Now, there's several different software packages out there that will actually identify these, and what you want to do is you want to add anywhere from 3 to 6 patterns that you consistently kind of rely upon, and start tracking them. Just keep a track record or a journal of them, going, that one worked, this one didn't, this one worked, that one didn't. And you can kind of over time, the same way I have over the past 25 years, you'll have a playbook of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Like, believe it or not, some of my trades only work 3 times out of 10. Oh my goodness, that's only 30% of the time. But I'll risk, say, $100 to make 1,000, or $150 to make 4,000. Like, I don't care if it only works 3 times out of 10, because the risk reward is insanely good to the upside to me. In this case scenario, we've got gaps, which right now, earnings right now, you've got Netflix, you've got Amazon that had a big gap. So breakaway gaps are very profitable. You can play them around earnings. I wouldn't play, Amazon last night. I would let Amazon shake out today, and we'll talk about that, and then do a bracket trade on it. So you can see a breakaway gap to the downside, breakaway gap to the downside, breakaway gap to the upside. Those tend to work out pretty good. And then you kind of tie it all together. Now let's see where we're at right now. where do you think we are in the cycle of the market? Okay. Where do you think we're at in the cycle of the market? Are we at optimism, excitement, thrill, euphoria, anxiety, denial, fear? We're definitely not. I don't think we're anywhere near anxiety, denial, or fear. So we have to either be in either 1, 2, 3, or 4. And it's got to be probably thrill or euphoria at this point. These are the two I'm banking on, thrill or euphoria. After that happens, we're going to start pulling back, and people are like, oh, it's different this time. Uber's totally worth $40 billion. You know, right? GoPro's totally worth what it is worth. And then, as it goes down, they're like, oh, maybe it's not. Oh, it's not different this time. And so we're still in the upward angle of attack there, and eventually we're going to start rolling over. All right, live charts. Let's do some live charts. You guys want to do some live charts? I'm going to, let me see here really quickly. Discard. I'm going to show you one of the techniques that I use to actually, so let's talk about Amazon first, because a lot of people are going to go crazy because Amazon's up 56 bucks. There is a strategy that I use called Ichimoku. If it's above the blue, it means it's got a very good chance of going higher. You can see here that it sold off, bounced into the cloud, closed above both the turning and the standard line sideways, and now you had a huge gap up. All right. If we look at this market, I'm going to show you how I use this in my trading. So on the ES, I would say that we're going sideways to slightly higher. This technical analysis study that I'm showing you is available to everyone out there. It's on most good trading platforms. Uptrend, support, and target. Let's take a look at the YM. Where's the YM? Sideways to slightly higher, no edge there. NASDAQ looks really good. Now, here's one thing that you can do. I will usually use an ADX reading. If the ADX reading is above 20, I can trade it. If it's below 20, I try to leave it alone. But on the NASDAQ here, you can see that it looks really good. It's breaking right to the high side. Next target is 4,600. What do I use for charting? This is TradeStation, and TradeStation was on most of my slides. So here's the Russell. Russell sold off 2 days ago into 1248.65, which was a pickup buy. Next target would be 1,300. Bond market sold off pretty good 2 days ago. Now we're rallying. We're probably going to rally to 163, 13.30 seconds to 163, 29.30 seconds. That looks interesting to me. So this study right here is one of the main studies that I use because it will give me the trend. It will tell me where to buy, where to place my stop, my entry, and then I just have to figure out my targets, which is not hard at all to do. Look at this, at FGBL. This is the Euro Bund. Take a look at this thing. This thing just makes me look really smart just because I've been long this thing for a while, and I continue to be long that. Here you can see at GC, gold. So in this situation, when we're looking at technical analysis, we recommended a short right here into the bottom of the cloud. When the price action is below the cloud, it's a short, and our next target is going to be 1140. At crude oil, I think you have a really good opportunity right now. You should be getting long either crude oil or crude oil stocks, and we're actually a little bit overweighted at this time. You notice how we've had and this is a good example, this is a good teaching example. You see how crude oil crossed below here, and it went lower? And once it crossed below the cloud, it was a short, and then every time it touches the cloud, short it here, you could short it here, you could short it here, and you just try to stay as short as you can. Now notice how you've got about a half a dozen bars above the cloud now. That is a decent long. That is a decent long. If you can get this white line across, it's a really great long. So we're long some crude oil, and to be more exact, we're long some HAL. Halliburton, see, this is a good long. Entry here at 48.21, stop loss of 44.84, target 60 bucks. RIG, this is a decent long here with a stop loss of 15. DNR, if you don't want to trade crude oil, trade DNR. It's a little bit cheaper. We've been long since it crossed here. We're still looking good in this. What is the white line? White line is called the lagging line. So really quickly, let's do this. Give me some symbols, and I'll go. Let's start. So Boeing, and I'll show you with some simple technical analysis. Boeing is in a valid uptrend, but you see how it's in the cloud? I'd wait until it gets to 145 to pick it up. Okay. Apple, AAP, Apple's a long. Check this out. So here's Apple. Apple was a nice little pullback into the cloud, bounced off. Next targets 132, 139, and 149. BABA, really great short. Alibaba, short right here at the bottom of the cloud. Stop, high of the day, target 75. Yum Brands, YUM. Hey, if you guys don't mind, do them in caps because GoToWebinar has about an 8-point font and it's hard to read your questions. So Yum Brands looks really good. It's above the cloud. Entry at 85.05, stop 82.04, target 90. XLU is going to be the same thing as crude oil. XLU, or it should be. I'm not. No, hold on. I'm wrong. It's like gold. This is a short right here with a tight stop loss and a target of 42. FSLR, lots of symbols. What are the time periods you use for the clouds? So I use a combination of daily, 60 minutes, and 10 minutes. That allows me from a daily, I know I'm going to be in it for days to weeks at a time. An hourly is going to let me be in the trade 3 to 5 days, and a 10-minute trade is going to let me stay in the trade for 4 or 5 hours. So FSLR is a good long entry at 65 or 63.96, stop 62, target of about $72. CMG. CMG is a good short. It's below the cloud. Here's a bracket trade when you're doing earnings on brackets. You get a nice little gap. If it would have closed above 654 or 656, it would have been a long. It did not do that, and it's actually closing lower here. If you can get a close below 635, it's a good short. So let's do Amazon. AMZN. Amazon. So for tomorrow on Amazon, if Amazon goes above, I'm sorry, Monday, not tomorrow. If Amazon on Monday trades above 453, it's a long. If it trades below 439, it's a short. I saw where Ichimoku is not good for intraday. What do you say? I disagree. Ichimoku is great for intraday. Ichimoku works wonderful for intraday, specifically if you use the combination of daily, hourly, and 10 minutes. It works wonderful. So yes. UTX is really, really useful. I wouldn't use it on, a 1 or a 2 minute chart. That'd get a little bit choppy, but UTX is a good short. Shorted here, stop of 117.63 and a target of 114. You're very welcome. Oh, DXY, dollar index. Cashed on DXY. So dollar index, this is a long today. So it's a long today, or if you're smart, you can wait for it to get to the bottom of the cloud here and pick it up there. Because right now it's already breached it. It's in the cloud. So there's two different plays for the dollar. You can either let it drop down to 96 and pick it up, or you can wait until it closes above 98.16. So long if it drops to 96, and long if it gets above 98.15. TLT is the bond market. Bond market right now, see how it's in the cloud? I would just leave that alone. The cloud right here is telling you it's going to go sideways to slightly higher, but it's mixed in the cloud. When it's in the cloud, you just leave it alone. XOM. Crude oil, XOM, ExxonMobil. This is still a short at this point. Crude oil is going higher, so it should pull ExxonMobil kicking and screaming eventually. You need to have 3 candles above the cloud. So right now, this is just a hurry up and wait. SPY Spiders. Spiders is a long with a stop of 209 and a target of 218. Facebook is a decent long, but you see how it's below the yellow and the purple? I'd wait till it crossed back up above 82.98. All right. Priceline, PCLN. Do you use shorter time frame clouds for entry triggers and exit? Yes, I do. What I do is I go like this. So let's say that we are interested in getting long some Priceline, okay? So Priceline here is a daily uptrend. Should have been bought here 2 days ago. Then what I would do is I would say, okay, I've missed this. If I didn't get long 2 days ago, I'm kind of missed the boat, right? See how this actually right here had you a decent long signal when it went back above the cloud? That's a 10-minute signal. That's usually good for 3 to 5 hours. This one's actually setting up really good. So what you have to do is you have to wait until this price action dips back below this cloud and then goes back above it. There's actually 2 different things you can do. 3 candles outside of the cloud is a trigger. Yeah, 3 is conservative, 2's moderate, and 1's aggressive, Chris. It can actually come down here and touch and kiss the cloud and bounce off of that. That's a good long, okay? but I would prefer for it to drop below the cloud and then go back above it. Hubert, is it true when you have a flat border on the cloud, either top or that represents stronger than normal support and resistance? If you've got a flat thing right here, that just means it's just dead sideways. All it's doing is just taking the price action and putting it in the future. So it's the calculation of the cloud and the midpoint between the standard and the turning line. So that really just means it's going sideways when it's flat like that. Yeah. So that's what I would do. All right. So let me whip back over here to PowerPoint, and then I'll come back and we'll do more live charts. Okay. So we'll mix it up here. I got just a few more seconds here. I think I got 20 more minutes. All right, so we looked at charts. So that's how you can use some technical analysis studies to make yourself a little bit easier to use stuff. Now I'm going to show you a really great way to find some of my favorite trade setups and just scan for Ichimoku. Okay, so we'll do charts, back to charts in just a second. All right, how to take your trading to the next level. You have to be a good chartist. You have to be a good chart reader. Good news is it's not hard. You just need to know how to do it, right? You just need some good old-fashioned tricks of the trade. Now, there is no shortcut for long-term success. I want to repeat that. There is no shortcut for long-term success. When I was growing up a kid, I was like, all right, if I ever make my first million, it's going to go like this, right? A lot of people think you start here and you end here when you're going to make $1 million. All right, or if you want to become a multimillionaire, right? Now, in our masterminds, it's usually millionaires or above, or multimillionaires above, and we've got 2 billionaires. I've never seen somebody start here and end here. Never seen it happen. It usually comes with about 10 years of hard blood, sweat, and tears, and just working your ass off, right? And failing a lot. I've also never seen somebody go like this, where it's just a good old-fashioned stair step, and you just get better over time. I've never seen that, neither have any of my friends. What we see with our performance is you get a little momentum going up, and you try something, you fail at that, you get back, get a little momentum going, you fail, you adjust, and it ends up being like a weird looking spaghetti bowl of off course, on course, off course, on course, off course, on course. And then you eventually get here. Heads up, when you make your first $1 million, have a new goal, because if you don't, you're not going to have anything to do. You want to start making more millions. All right. So that's how success really works. All right, so let's talk about a way that I can shortcut your learning curve. All right, I can help you by sharing with you the stuff that I've already learned in the 25 plus years of some of the technical analysis patterns that I like to use in my trading. Now, they work for me. They may not work for you at all. I cannot guarantee any of this stuff will work for you. I can just tell you these are the ones that I've found and I consistently use, and I like using them, okay? Module 1. Chart types. We're going to go over bar charts, line charts, candlestick charts, and line break charts, and then we're also going to cover point and figure charts. All right, that's module 1. In module 2, I'm going to share with you chart patterns, the importance of candlestick patterns, gap tops, normal, breakaway, continuation, exhaustion gaps, island reversals, and dead cat bounces. Market turning points, hedge fund buy and sell signals. Price patterns, head and shoulders, parabolic moves, double tops and bottoms, triple tops and bottoms, V bottoms and V tops, 3 high 62 buy, 3 low 62 sell. Sounds like a football play, doesn't it? We're going to talk about base jumping. We're going to talk about a launch pad trade, and we're going to talk about W's, M's, triangles, wedges. Those are the main patterns that I use for my pattern recognition to find good patterns that work over and over and over for me. That's in module 2. In module 3, if my keyboard will work, module 3, I'm going to talk about point and figure, and it's designed to give you clear-cut signals with zero guessing. How to use only price to trade the markets, the best patterns for point and figure, use point and figure to draw the perfect trend lines, 45-degree angles. It easily defines support and resistance, and it also has a great way to calculate stops and target levels on there. And it's great for swing trades. And I'm going to actually show you a free site where you actually can scan for some of this stuff after you learn how to use it, okay? In Module 4, I'm going to talk about Ichimoku cloud charts. Ichimoku cloud charts, the #1 technique used in Japan. You're going to know exactly what's happening in seconds. It's a very good trending and gives you clear trends and signals, designed to produce very clear signals. So I'm going to throw in the Ichimoku. And then Module 5, we're going to talk about market profile. It's a great way to trade price action if you like to scalp stuff. It's going to cut your learning curve in half. Clear-cut buy and sell areas based upon what really drives the markets, value areas, low value area, high value area, and the point of control. That's in Module 5. In Module 6, I'm going to cover the basics of Fibonacci's, how and why to use them, retracements versus projections, how to plot it on a chart. The best two areas to use Fibs, in my opinion, is the 50 and the 61.8. I'll show you how to use that. And we're going to talk about the ambush trade, both major ambush and minor ambush trade, which is one of my favorite trade setups. And then in Module 7, since most of you in here are swing traders that trade options, I'll bet the one thing that keeps you up at night is, oh dear Lord, please don't gap up or gap down against me. Is that what you worry about if you're a swing trader in options? I know it is because I trade them. If you do not hedge yourself with a small futures account, you're crazy, right? It does not take a lot of money to hedge yourself with a $3,000 to $5,000 futures account, and you can hedge a lot of the risk that you have in the options market in case, God forbid, you had an option and you were short Amazon and it gapped up 53 points this morning. You could have hedged that with some futures, okay? So I'm going to teach you how to trade, what they are, why you want to use them, the contract specs and margins, how to pick the best ones to trade, and how to hedge effectively against your options trades, all right? I'm going to throw in a bonus of one live trading analysis session. We'll either do it on Tuesday either Monday or Tuesday, and I'll let you watch me trade live. I'll either make money or I won't make money. That's just how it kind of works. And then I'm going to throw in 4 live analysis sessions, one every week, every Tuesday, and you bring a list of symbols like we did earlier, and I'll walk through and go, that's a long, that's a short, here's an entry, here's a target, and we'll look at the markets together. I'll tell you what to do and what to do next, all right? Entry, stops, and targets plus Q&A. If you got any Q&A, you just ask it at that time, okay? All right, I got about 10 more minutes, looks like, and I only got about 4 more slides. A bonus 2 live trading session, trade the markets live in real time, put into action everything that you've discovered on the course plus a Q&A session. Here's your offer right here. You have absolutely zero risk, 100% satisfaction guaranteed, no questions asked. If you don't love it, I don't want your money. You could take the whole course and ask for your money back if you don't like my accent. That's how good the course is, all right? Now, you're not going to do that because you're getting a ton of value for the amount of money I'm about to ask you to invest in your training. I always over-deliver, and my goal is for you to receive a 10 times your ROI on investment, all right, which is not hard to do at all. So you now have a new opportunity to take your trading to the next level. Will you catch the next big move that's about to happen in the markets? Because I know I'm going to catch pieces of it. Am I going to catch all of it? No, I know I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to catch big chunks of it. And the way I'm going to do it is with technical analysis. All right? So now's your time to act. Here is your offer. If you go to realtraderswebinar.com/Hubert, and I will post this in the chat box for you. Oh, they've already got it done. Perfect. It's already in your chat box right there. And here it is. You can also call the office, and I'll give you that telephone number here in just a second. So here's what you get. All right? There we go. Chart types, that's free. Chart patterns, $97. Point and figure chart, $97. Cloud charts, $97. Market profile, $97. Fibonacci's, $97. 4 live analysis sessions, 1 per week, and 1 live trading session for a value of $779. Now, I really can and do sell these courses individually for $97, okay? I'm going to open it up for only 53 people today for $97. You can also call the office. We have real live people sitting right behind me. So if you call, you'll probably hear the phone ring, and it'll drive you nuts because it always drives us nuts when we do these things. So if you call area code 859-963-3445, area code 859-963-3445. So there it is, realtraderswebinar.com/Hubert. All right. So I'm going to do until I run out of time, which I think I've got about 10 more minutes, live charts. Sound good? I'm going to shut up about this from now on. I'm going to go discard there. Now, here's their link, okay? If at any time You want to be one of the 53 people that get all those courses for $97. You go to realtraderswebinar.com/Hubert, or you call area code 859-963-3445. I will put that number in here too for you. 859-963-3445. There you go. Can everybody see that? Now, only thing that I ask when we do these symbols until they run me out of here, and all you got to do, I will have, yeah, they'll just tell me when I'm done. I think I got like maybe 5 or 6 more minutes. I'm going to spend the rest of the time just trying to help you out on this stuff, okay? All right, so give me the symbols in caps, and that way I'll be able to. When is the webinar? The webinar, it's all pre-recorded. It's a self-study course. As soon as you hit add to cart, you'll immediately be taken to so you can watch the videos. How long is the $97 good for? Until the 53 slots are gone. We run specials on webinars from time to time, so it's only good for the first 53 people. Okay. Is it a recurring fee? No. It's just $97 one-time fee is all it is. Yeah, not a big deal. The recordings will stay up as long as I'm alive, or until both of us are going to die at some point, right? The recordings will stay up until either I die or you die. That's how it's going to work. All right, so let me do some symbols here for you. SLB, it's going to be a long, all right? Schlumberger, that's a 10-minute. Let's go to a daily. Daily is just a little bit easier to pick up here. This is a long. Now, and you'll learn this stuff in the course. This is Ichimoku. You see how you have about a dozen candles above the cloud? You see how the white line is above the cloud too? That's a really good long. I would buy that today at 91.80. Stop would be 87.75. Target would be 105. SLV. SLV is a great short. Short it, stop 15.33 and a target of $14. That's an easy trade right there. Easy, all day long. Do you ever use charts with white backgrounds? I don't know. It's because I'm surrounded by 20 screens. The white hurts my eyes, and most traders and trading desks either use a blue or black background because it's just easier on your eyes. What bar chart's supposed to start anew? Wasn't bar charts supposed to, we're running a little bit behind. Larry had some technical difficulties, so GPRO. I think I go for another 4 minutes, and then I'm out of here. GoPro, good short. I'll wait until it broke below 43.10 in order to short that. Which broker do you use? I use several different brokers. Yep. Great stuff, like your presentation as usual. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. BBBY. Keep hitting me with the symbols. I'll go until I'm out of time. BBBY is a short. Short it now. Stop 74.70. Target 68. ADSK. ADSK is a good long. Long at 62.66. Stop 61.45 and target of $68. AMZN. Amazon's a long. Heads up. Full disclosure. I'm long Amazon from $75, so I'm happy today. I would not touch Amazon today. I would wait until Monday and get long when it's above 453, or short if it's below 439. IBM. IBM is a decent long. It's got it's a decent long, but you see how it's going to have an issue right here. You see how where that gap is going to be an issue. So it needs to get through that. But you'll learn that in the course. Like, it's a decent looking long. It's sideways to slightly higher, but it's running into overhead resistance. Facebook is a good long. I would let Facebook drift back down to the top of the cloud and pick it up there. What indicators you use on charts? This is called Ichimoku. Kroger, but it's all covered in the course. Here's a pretty little long. Look, who asked for that one? Kroger. Rick T. That's fine. So you see how it sold off to the bottom of the cloud? See how it's bouncing? You could get long today at 71.77, stop of 70, target $74. Okay, that's a nice trade. I like that one. SWKS, Skunksworks Solutions. Good little long trade here as it touches the cloud at 93.54. Stop loss 90, target 105. ULTA, if I don't have it, keep hitting it. We got 2 more minutes until my time's up. I want to make sure I stop on time so they can get their webinar on track again. Lots of good people here, and they've done a great job putting a really good team together. So Real Traders Webinars guys always do a great job, so round of applause for their team. ULTA, good long. Entry at 157 and a quarter. Stop loss 154 and 3/4. Target 170. Phone number is not working. Phone number is working. You're probably getting voicemail because all 3 people are taking orders right now. I can see them actually behind me. So if you call, if you don't get a real person, all you have to do is leave a voicemail message and we will call you back. Try online first. Online first, you just put in your credit card information. It just processes it automatically, and you don't have to talk to a human. But if you want to call, you can. How do you get your target? So I have a ratio formula, and I just use it in my head, but it's all covered in the course, Philip. Yep. VRNT. VRNT, oh, I can't type. Did I do it right? Oh, I didn't do it. VNRT. I'm dyslexic. I don't have anything for that. Let's go. VRNT. There we go. I knew I'd eventually get it. It's a decent long stop of 60.23 and a target of 68. Long out here at 60.61. Does this include the cloud course? Yeah, you get. So here's what you get really quickly. I've got 60 seconds, and then I'm out of here. Here's what you get. Chart types free. You're going to get chart patterns, $97. Point and figure. Cloud charts, market profile, Fibonacci, 4 live analysis sessions, 1 per week, 1 live trading session, $197. You get it all for $97, but it's only for the first 53 people. All right. I'm out of time. They wanted me to stop at 12:15. I'm stopping at 12:15 on the dot. Your link is up there. Your telephone number is up there. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me, and I will see you on the next one.